there was this problem with people going to California and showing up for, there were people would put out flyers saying 400 jobs, and then 20,000 people show up. So and the people heard Jimmy Rogers singing, "Going to California where they sleep out every night," and this is what Woody sings. So who's this Jimmy Rogers guy? So I'm looking for Jimmy Rogers, and I can't find Jimmy Rogers anywhere, but I found an album. Lefty Frizzell sings the songs of Jimmy Rogers, and that had the most wonderful backup band. It was some sides he recorded in 1949, 1950. Piano, guitar, fiddle, and dobro, and I wanted to have a band that sounded like that, and eventually I did. So it was kind of following leads, one musician leading to another, and from the other one would be Hank Williams. When I got divorced for the first time, one of my friends, Johnny Habiger, said, "Hey, give me this greatest hits of Hank Williams." He says, "Oh, you should listen to this. It'll make you feel better."
Oh yeah.
And it was the most awful, sad stuff I'd ever heard, but it worked. It did work. Once you got that, it wasn't about, I got past the twang and the hookiness to the emotion that was in it. It's like, oh, that's where that's at. So.
What about Hank Williams Jr.?
Yeah. I'm not particularly enamored.
So I agree that Dylan and the folk revival is like that.
Yeah. And of course I ran into Pete Seeger. Yeah. He was something else. So I've kind of followed Pete Seeger's politics. They go right along with mine. See, he was banned from the radio during the McCarthy era, accused of being a communist, and he was dangerous. And he got called before Congress to testify in the McCarthy hearings. He was up in New York, and they sent some folks up there to force him to testify, and he said, "I'm not going to answer any of your questions, because I think your questions are, nobody should be asked these questions. I am an American. I love you. Say whatever is right for me." And you can find the transcript of that testimony online if you just Google McCarthy and Pete Seeger. It's just brilliant. It should be made into a stage play or a radio play, just the back and forth, because they charged him with contempt of Congress for refusing to testify. And then he appealed. He was facing a 10-year sentence. He appealed in about 1961 or 62 or 63. The Supreme Court threw that conviction out, and he was allowed to be free of that. First time I saw him, he was doing children's concerts. They figured he couldn't do any harm with children's songs, but they didn't know Pete very well.
That's brilliant. That's really brilliant. I love that political element. Okay, so why is music important to you emotionally, or is your musical approach more disciplined and planned? Basically, what's your creative process?
My creative process is to be in the moment. I can play with other folks, and don't even have to know the songs. I just stay in the moment and with my violin, and I just find something that works and just pursue that. So I played professionally for over 40 years without looking at a note of music or a chord chart or anything like that. Well, maybe I'd learn a song from a chord chart, but after that it was all improvised in the moment.
Yeah, improv. That's brilliant. And then, um, so what do you gain from being a musician? And like, what, it's kind of a two-part question. What do you gain from being a musician, and what, like for your act, what are the important visual characteristics, like when you're on stage, like the aesthetics, like that you try to convey to the audience?
Well, mostly the aesthetics are about let's have some fun and be happy.
Yeah.
I got distracted from the gist of that question.
Sorry.
Say again.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's just like what are you conveying to the audience visually?
Okay.
And
Okay.
I scrapped the first part of that because it was irrelevant.
Yeah, well, visually, I would wear a cowboy hat or a beret or something, and look,
Good, how are you? I'm doing well.
dress up a little bit. I used to kind of mock formal dress. I had this white tuxedo tailcoat, a cab Callaway that I would wear sometimes, and then I would do. I would wear hideous ties. The polka dot tie with the striped shirt, that sort of thing. Kind of clown costume. The country clown.
Wonderful. Yeah. Like, that is wonderful. Would you say that's inspired from cultural aspects of America, or like more European?
No, that was more from Spike Jones and his City Slickers. I named my first band in Chicago Big Al and the City Slickers.
Heck yeah.
Homage to Spike Jones. He had I never followed this, but he had a guy that worked for his band whose job was to keep his pistols loaded, because he fired lots of pistols in the course of his musical performances. It was like total mockery. You should listen to Spike Jones sometime.
Yeah, that's cool. I kind of wonder if you like jammed out with like because my dad's a Chicago blues player, and then my grandpa had clubs, so I'm like, maybe you jammed with them or something.
I didn't go too much into Chicago. I lived out in the suburbs, and it was 30 miles away, but the parking was a problem.
Yeah.
But there were some good places in the suburbs. I went to lots of open mics here and there, spreading the strange music that I explored. I think I turned off my radio in 1970. Stopped listening to the radio and started lurking in antique stores and thrift shops looking for old 78 RPM records with old weird music on it. I probably at one time had a couple of thousand of those. They didn't have to be perfect sounding, they just had to have cool words, and I would write down the words and learn the songs. And so what I was doing was running counter to the popular music at the time. I was trying to find really old stuff, especially when the urban cowboy scare occurred. After the urban cowboy movement came out, all of they wanted country bands, and all of the rock bands would learn a few country songs and present themselves as country bands. But it wasn't real, so I started the act I started in Chicago started out, we called ourselves Real Country. Presenting like the roots of the stuff that was being presented then. So that's where the Jimmy Rogers and the Lefty Frizzell and Hank Williams stuff all came through. There was a couple of good country music places in the Chicago area. One of them was in the basement of a skyscraper on Wells Street. It was called the Bar Double R Ranch. And it was literally a skyscraper, but in the basement was his country music. There was a band there called the Sundowners that had been on the WLS radio barn dance. They were trying to be Grand Ole Opry in Chicago. went on for a while, but
That is awesome.
finally disappeared.
So we kind of went over this, but like besides famous mentors, have you had any other musical mentors?
Oh yeah, there was Dennis, the harmonica playing dwarf who lived in my granny's attic in Riverdale, Maryland.
Oh,
Would leave his blown out harmonicas on the chair outside his room along with copies of Mad Magazine, which had just started about the time that I ain't been right since. He once showed me his Gibson guitar. It was almost, he wouldn't let me touch it, but this was when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And then later on, just, meet, you meet people along the way and you want to, oh, that's cool, I would like to play, play like that person maybe, or learn some of their stuff. But mostly it was Dennis the dwarf that got me started.
That is brilliant. Do you have any like?
I think he played in a jazz band in DC.
Oh my God, that is brilliant. Okay, this is good stuff.
And as a result of that, what I always do is if there's any kids around, I'm playing. Hey, would you like to try the fiddle? I share my instruments with children. In fact, one time I went down, going down to art classes in Lapway, and I'd bring my instruments, and there was an after-school art club that my friend that was teaching down there would have, and I let the kids play with all that stuff.
Is that a non-profit? Was that the protecting the environment? Like
No, that was just the Lapway High School.
Oh yeah, I know about that's awesome, the after program with a non-profit. That kind of leads me to my next question. Have you managed any non-profit musical ventures or music venues?
Well, I've been on Radio Free Moscow, a nonprofit, for 16 years, and I've been board chairman for quite a few years of that nonprofit.
Oh, so for they kind of focus on like self-care routines, like drinking water, like that sort of thing, at the school that I'm attending. And so I was just gonna ask for like some of your wisdom of like how you like take care of yourself so that you can be like the most prolific artist.
Well, first off, some of the folks that influenced me also had drinking problems, and you could tell that they were brilliant musicians at one time, and they sort of knew what they were doing, but it was tenuous because of their alcoholism, and I decided I didn't want to be one of those guys that used to be good but drank the talent away.
Yeah.
There was one person that influenced me very much. His name was Ron Steen. He was the alcoholic to whom I was referring. He sat in a closed position in front of his amplifier with his Fender Jazzmaster and his sunglasses on. One day I asked him, Ron, how do you play with feeling? He slides his glasses down over his nose, looks over the top of it, and says, first you gotta feel something. And that was a pretty good piece of advice, because music is about emotion and communicating something. Also, another aspect of music, if you want to communicate an idea, if you put it to music, it'll stick in people's minds. You know? So you have to make your revolution into an earworm.
Heck yeah. And wear sunglasses at night. Right?
Yeah, maybe you might bump into telephone pole.
This
Am I
is
taking this seriously?
this is brilliant. Do you need any water or
No,
anything?
I got water right here.
Do you need a lemon?
No,
No.
I bought one.
Okay. I have, my car's a lemon too. So I just have a few more questions. What is the demographic group that you target with your radio show?
Well, I target everyone, and those that don't necessarily agree with me politically, they exit themselves.
Okay. Were you involved with music venue opening, or how do you book your gigs? Or were you involved, I guess more specifically, for my music venue management class, were you involved with music venue management or club openings?
No, not really. Although I ran an open mic at the local Moose Lodge for 5 years, and that it was a different kind of open mic because I didn't have a sign-up sheet, and the only rule was if you feel like you can contribute to what's going on stage, get up there and do it. Don't have to ask anybody. So do it. So we had this amorphous jam session going that would go on until 2:30 in the morning when the bar had to close. And I recorded all of it.
That's where I met you, I think, because
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
so
so.
fun.
Yeah.
That was like the best structure because you could just get practice in.
Do anything you want. In fact, there was this fellow from Kuwait that was in school here, and he used to cover those things. And one day, he shows up and walks up to the piano, never having touched one in his life, and started playing something that worked with the rest of the people. He never touched a musical instrument in his life, and there it was. He got lured into it.
Are you comfortable adding something because you're also part of the act, in my opinion?
Oh, okay. Hi.
Well, or you collaborate.
Yeah, well, Al and I have been playing music about, almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of fun, like you said.